Hi, Susan. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Before we start, your PR person said you were doing a lot of interviews today. How many interviews did you do so far?
Um, oh my gosh, I think it's like 16 or 17.
Oh, God.
I'm getting a
Okay.
little weary, but I'm figuring out what's best to talk about by doing this.
Well, yeah, it's good practice. The reason I ask is because, like 2 weeks ago, I had a woman on who said that I was the 21st interview that she had done that day, and she had been up since 4 a.m. her time. And
Oh,
I do interviews all week. I do every day. I usually do two, and two is my absolute maximum. So when I hear people doing 16 in one day, I don't know how you could do it. I would be dead after two interviews.
it's funny because I kind of started losing my voice in interview maybe three, but now I got it. It's fine. No problem.
So were these like fairly short interviews? I mean, like 10 minutes,
Most
15
of them are
minutes?
10 minutes. Yeah, most of them are
Yeah.
10 minutes. A few 20, a few not 30, a couple of 30, but mostly 10. Mhm.
Well, God bless you for that, because like I said, two and I'm done for the day. And I might at the on a busy week I'll do 10 in a week.
In a week.
In a week, right? Yeah, two a day, one before lunch, one after lunch, and but we do other things. We've got editing to do. We've got I don't just go home and go to sleep after I'm done. Okay, so anyways, let's see. You are senior editor at National Geographic's books. Is that correct?
That's right. That's
Wow,
right.
that's a great job.
It is a great job. It's the job I was supposed to have when I grow up. That's what I say.
That's what everyone from National Geographic has said. I've had three people on. I think his name was Stephen Peshek. He took that famous
Oh,
photo
yeah,
of the
right.
shark following the guy in the
Yep.
kayak.
Yes, I know the
Yeah,
photo you mean. Yep.
right. And he said it was the same thing. He said, "This was the job I wanted as a little kid, and I finally got it." It's amazing.
Yep.
Well, how many people
Yeah.
work at National Geographic?
I'm not up to that, and everything is sort of in flux because, um, National Geographic divided into the society and partners, the society being the nonprofit research supporting institution, and partners being the profit making. And that split happened because Fox acquired the partners, but then Disney acquired Fox. So we are a Disney company right now, and our the last couple of years, the whole effort has been to figure out how we fit into the Disney universe. And it's been really interesting because what we do at National Geographic, particularly for adults, the magazine and books, is so different from anything that Disney does. Um, but they appreciate us and they support us, so it's been a good new episode in the life of National Geographic books, at least.
Wow, yeah, Disney's sort of gobbling up everybody. They really
Mm,
are. I mean, they got George Lucas and they got all the Marvel
yeah,
comics and now National Geographic and
Marvel,
yeah,
Pixar, on and on. Yep.
yeah.
Not to mention all the princesses.
That's true. That's
Hmm.
true. All right, well, I see your book back there, and that's what you're here for. We're going to talk about Into the Forest. When I saw the title and I read the sort of the blip about the book, immediately the movie Avatar came to mind, because they had that sequence where they were taking out that huge tree, which was the life force center of the people, right? The indigenous people. Of course, the greedy corporate people could care less, and they just burned it to the ground. But there is something to that, isn't there? The trees really are
You
more
know,
alive than we
yeah.
think.
Well, I don't remember Avatar as clearly as you do, but the story you're telling me is the story of trees over time. Um, a tree sits in the middle of the universe of practically every mythology that has existed in human civilization. And there is a scientific message in that, which is that trees and forests really support the life of the planet. And by the same token, as you're remembering in Avatar, industrial agriculture and global manufacturing and agriculture has really been damaging the big old forests of the world, and it's one of the concerns that we have right now is how to preserve the forests that we have and build them back so that they can be the strong lungs of the planet, as some people call particularly the rainforest.
How did you do the research for this book? That couldn't have been easy.
Yeah, some of it was instinctual, just exploring mythologies and legends and stories, but a lot of it had to do with following the path of ideas in scientific literature, finding the actual scientific journal articles that expressed and describe the work being done by people both in the psychological realm, but also the medical realm, discovering the benefits of incorporating into our daily lives a deeper and more intimate relationship with nature and with the forest. It's continues to be the message of science that we really do, we human beings benefit from being in the forest, in nature, in parks, and even looking out the window at greenery is of benefit to people. There are a couple of really interesting studies now, maybe 20 years back, one of them in a prison that found that the prisoners who looked out on green fields reported sickness less than the prisoners who looked out at a prison yard. Another similar sort of parallel study in a hospital in Pennsylvania found that surgery patients who looked out at trees in a park healed more quickly than the patients who were looking out at the wall of the neighboring building. So, those are just a couple of examples of many, many much work being done in the realm of psychology on the positive impact of having trees in your life.
Well, I think that's great. There was something here I wanted to read. You said that a process whereby the trees, the Arcadia trees in Africa, acacia trees in Africa, sent warnings to each other to ward off predatory giraffes. How did people figure that out?
I don't know how they figured it out, actually, but it is a sort of a classic story of how trees communicate with each other. It's one of the examples of the secret language of trees. In the African savanna, giraffes eat the leaves of acacia trees. And as a giraffe is munching on those leaves, that tree sends out chemical signals to neighboring acacia trees saying, look out, giraffe coming. And in response, the neighboring acacia trees, the leaves of those trees turn bitter. So when the giraffe wanders over to the next tree and takes a bite, it tastes terrible and he won't eat any more of the acacia trees. So it's a classic example. It's something that is actually shared in a lot of ecological literature as an example of trees communicating with one another through the air. There's also really interesting work being done about trees communicating through the network, the underground network of roots and fungus This is work done especially by Suzanne Simard, the author of the book Finding the Mother Tree, who also, I'm proud to say, contributed the foreword to my book. And she's discovering ways in which trees communicate underground, either sending alarm signals like in the acacia above ground, or also sending nourishment, nutrients underground to neighboring trees, not even only their own species, but other trees as well.
The indigenous peoples of this planet always had a better understanding of this than the white Europeans.
Absolutely,
really, yeah.
yes. And understood the medicinal value of one kind of tree or another. I mean, there are examples of medicines today, some of them highly evolved and synthesized, and others of them pretty basic, that come from trees. Aspirin is really one of the classic examples. Originally, aspirin came from the willow tree, the inner bark of a willow tree, and the genus name of willow is Salix. We talk about salicylic acid. It's all connected, and in the old days, indigenous people would be using making a preparation from the inner bark of willow trees as an anti-inflammatory, the way we use aspirin today.
So why did you decide to write this book? Did a tree fall or something happen?
I've lived on the edge of a forest just about my whole life. I grew up in Michigan, and our house was, as I say, on the edge of a forest. So when I would come home from school, I would go play in the forest. I had one special tree not that far behind our house that I called the Horsey Tree that grew in an unusual shape. It grew to about, say, 4 feet tall, straight up, and then about 6 feet totally horizontal, and then the rest of the tree again straight up. And I could actually climb up on it, and I rode it as if a horse. That's why I called it the Horsey Tree when I was little. This tree most likely was, in fact, a direction tree, bent that way as a sapling by indigenous people living in that forest long before I did. And there are trees like that, direction trees, that have been shaped to leave messages probably all through the world, but I know certainly all through North America.
Is the book out? Is it available now?
Yes, yesterday was publication day, April 5th, and today it should be available everywhere. Find it online or at your favorite bookstore. And if you don't find it, please do ask the bookstore to order it for you. They might actually order you a copy and a couple more to put on the bookshelf. I'd love it to get into the hands of anyone who loves a tree.
Okay. Do you have a website that you want to give out, a personal one or one for the book?
I don't really,
Okay.
but I encourage people to keep a watch on the nationalgeographic.com website, because this month we are really celebrating both Earth Day and Arbor Day. The cover story and all of the issue of the May National Geographic magazine will have a lot about trees, and we're really celebrating trees in general at National Geographic.
Okay, super. Well, Susan, thanks so much for coming on this show. It was nice meeting you, and best of luck with the book. Hope it does well.
Thank you so much. It's good to talk to you. And I want to end with one little thought.
Yeah.
Even though we're celebrating Arbor Day, every day ought to be Arbor Day.